All right. So follow-ups. So the teachers were very, very grateful for our Christmas celebration. We raised a little bit over $400 to buy the teachers food and goodies, all kinds of stuff. The PTO put up the money for all the teachers to get $25 gift cards. They had an amazing time.
Seguimiento de la discusión previa, los maestros estaban bien agradecidos por las tarjetas de regalo que le dieron $25 por maestros y por todo el esfuerzo que se puso para darle un regalito para las Navidades.
They were very grateful for the breakfast and for the lunch. We had two parents. I just remember Jose was the one who was Santa. I don't remember who was Mrs. Santa. But they loved it. Special shout out to Emily on the PTO. She was the driving force behind this. She came up with all of the ideas. And just wanted to let you know, like, even now teachers are like, oh my gosh, this was our favorite. Um, and they're so appreciative. They feel very, very loved.
Y estaban bien agradecidos los maestros por el desayuno, el almuerzo, todo el esfuerzo que se pusieron, que vieron que hicieron todos los padres, especialmente Emily, que puso bastante esfuerzo y están sumamente agradecidos por todo lo que hicieron.
Okay. Okay, so our Franklin's restaurant fundraiser made $450, which we hope to put towards our last field trip of the year.
Entonces, el recaudo de fondos que hicimos en el restaurante Franklin recaudó $450 que vamos a alocar para el último viaje del año.
And thank you again so much. We have definitely felt very humbled by just all the support we've been having so far in this school year towards I know it's seemingly never ending amount of fundraisers.
Y de nuevo, muchas gracias por todo el esfuerzo. Se reconoce que tenemos bastantes eventos de recaudar fondos, pero muchas gracias por eso.
And don't remember, there is no pressure whatsoever to participate in every single one since we have so many different ones. Just choose the ones that you love and you'll feel passionate about and, and participate in those. And actually, as we will talk about shortly, we have just one of our big pushes at the end of the year that has nothing to do with you guys giving money, but we could really use your time.
Y no se deben sentir presionados para dar dinero, si quieren dar o si quieren alocar su tiempo, su esfuerzo, es bienvenido, pero no sientan presión en hacer eso. Y también hay una gran pedida al final del año que en realidad quieren su tiempo, si pueden alocar su tiempo.
All right, so upcoming fundraisers for January, we were hoping to do Chuck E. Cheese this Friday, the 19th, from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. I sent out an email. They gave us coupons, and I think we have to verify, but the mouse might be coming. But we might be rescheduling, so just keep an eye out in your emails. We just don't know with the weather.
Teníamos planeado ir a Chuck E. Cheese este viernes de 3 a 9 entre 3 de la tarde hasta las 9 de la noche. El viernes y el ratón parece que va a estar presente, pero tenemos que estar pendientes de esto porque a lo mejor el cambio del clima va a interrumpir este plan.
But if we are still on for Friday, don't miss out on the coupons. They're for free play points and deals on the food.
Pero si vamos a seguir adelante este viernes, estén pendientes porque van a recibir cupones para juegos gratis y para descuento con la comida también.
Okay, so that's for January. For February, since this is a little bit later than this meeting's a little bit later in the month than usual, I'll just give you gets up. So February 14th for Valentine's Day, instead of candy this year, we have purchased little trinkets. So there's like squishables, stickers, these really cute, tiny keychain teddy bears, and mini letters with envelopes.
Entonces esos fueron los puntos para enero y para febrero. Tenemos el plan el 14 de febrero, el Día de los Enamorados, de Valentín. Tenemos en lugar de golosinas, tenemos unos ositos, unos llaveros de osito, también squishables y otras cosas pequeñas que vamos a hacer.
Mhm. Everything should be priced about like under $1. The teddy bears might be like 150, but everything should be, yeah, like under $1. So, um, cash works fine. We really prefer cash. Venmo got a little crazy, but just again, always we are willing to be flexible, communicate with us if you need to send the money in a different way. But if you are able to do cash, especially for your little ones, if you can put it in a plastic bag and put their name on it, that way, even if they lose it, we can get it back to them. That's a really great way to go.
Y todo el costo de los regalitos deben ser $1 o máximo 1.50 por los ositos y los llaveros de ositos. Preferimos que se use efectivo. También hemos usado Venmo, que está bien, pero se tiene que tener cuidado con eso. A veces se pone bien complicado. Así que si van a mandar dinero con los niños, deben poner el efectivo una bolsita o un sobre y con su nombre para que se sepa quién ya contribuyó.
Okay. Am I missing anything, Allison or Erica? I think Emily wasn't able to be here tonight. Or
Y
That's
que-
everything.
all right,
That's ev-
awesome.
Así que eso no quería perderme nada. A ver si tenemos todo lo que vamos a discutir.
Okay. Oh, one more thing. Kate did get back to us. So we have a big update coming about the green learning space. But she's waiting on a few other details, but our next meeting in February, we should have a big update and exciting news.
Y Kate, ella se puso en contacto con nosotros de nuevo y ella va a tener información acerca del espacio de aprendizaje. En la próxima reunión en febrero vamos a discutir eso y vamos a tener información de ese proyecto.
Okay. All right. So moving on. So the rest of this meeting will mostly be talking about Si se puede.
Así que
So
el resto de esta reunión vamos a discutir si se puede.
okay. So we're really excited and also terrified to announce that we will be continuing our annual Si se puede fair. For our new families, the Si se puede fair was originally established to help fund that very same green learning space I mentioned.
Así que estamos contentos y al mismo tiempo estamos un poco nerviosos acerca de que vamos a continuar con la feria de Si se puede, con las familias que vamos a ayudar y a trabajar. Y eso es para amplificar el espacio de aprendizaje.
However, it's been so successful that we really want to continue the fair and make it into an established tradition for the school. Our dream is to use these funds to help our school pay for badly needed supplies and updates. As many of us are aware, a lot of our teachers pay for things out of their own pockets to keep their classrooms stocked.
Y nosotros tenemos que reconocer que esta feria fue bien próspera y ha sido próspera, muy popular anteriormente y queremos seguir adelante con esta tradición porque usamos este evento para tratar de mejorar la escuela. Se usan los fondos para ayudar a los maestros que ellos usan su propio dinero para el costo de materiales y otro tipo de ayuda en la clase y entonces lo ayudamos de esta forma.
So with the money from Si Se Puede, we hope to be able to provide our wonderful teachers with all the supplies that they need. And it's also a way for us to engage the community around us and build strong partnerships with local businesses.
Así que con el dinero que recaudemos a través de Si Se Puede, queremos proveerle a todos los maestros con todas las herramientas que necesiten y también de hacer, bueno, estar con compañeros con los negocios del vecindario.
But for our kids, this is actually a really fun event. It's a great place for us to bring our family and our friends. We have a variety of carnival games, Soak the Principal, which Miss Guzman is actually very excited to participate in that. She 100% wants to get dunked. So that'll be fun. We have a frog launcher, gold shots, obstacle course, and a lot of more other events.
Y este evento es bien divertido para todos, pero en particular para los niños. Es un evento que deben traer a los niños, sus amistades, sus vecinos. Tenemos diferentes actividades, incluyendo eh, un evento donde se tira a la directora en la piscina y es un evento, la señora Guzmán está dispuesta, la directora, a participar en eso y hay diferentes actividades bien divertidas para todos.
Mhm. Okay. So, oh, wait, I wanted to just show a couple of, here we go. So just some pictures from last year, again, for our new families to just kind of get an idea of what we do. So this is, we have a stage here and some of our participants, some of our teachers. I can't tell, oh, there's Kate, there's Kate. But yeah, these are volunteers, teachers, and I think there is at least one official who's here.
Aquí pueden ver la foto aquí del año pasado del evento Si Se Puede. Bien, aquí en la plataforma, en los voluntarios, está Kate ahí, están algunos de los maestros, familias nuevas. Así que pueden, para que tengan idea, aquí tienen una foto de la feria.
And oh, there definitely is Kate. So you see in the back, in the very back, we actually had our police officers come out. They didn't bring the dogs this past year, but they did bring one of their like Jeep tank things. I don't know what they're called. But the kids got to go in that and take pictures. That was a lot of fun. And then can you see over here, our lovely Miss Nelson got pie in her face. And there's the pride dancers are there as well.
Así que pueden ver aquí en las fotos, el año pasado vinieron los miembros del cuerpo de policía y no trajeron los perros de policía, pero trajeron el carro de policía y los estudiantes pudieran entrar en el camión de jeep de policía. También había otro evento donde se tira el pastel en la cara, y otros eventos bien divertidos como un carnaval.
So we had our, oh gosh, my brain just died. Oh, Paraguay, right? Does anyone remember? But we had the dancers. We had traditional Hispanic dancers. I want to say it's Paraguay, but I feel like I'm saying that that's wrong. But we also had cocineros, which we have a great relationship with. They brought a food truck and they set up their thing and they actually sold out. So they were super excited about coming back again this year.
Y también tuvieron aquí personas que bailaron, yo creo que son de Paraguay. También pueden ver aquí en la foto los cocineros, y trajeron también el camión de comida y todo se vendió, todo se agotó porque fue bien, bien famoso toda la comida.
Okay. So that's just to give you an idea of, oh, great. How do I undo this? Oh, stop share. Okay, here we go. And that's just to give our new families an idea of what Si Se Puede looks like.
Así que las fotos le pueden dar aquí una idea para las personas que no participaron el año pasado, que son nuevas, las familias. de que tenga una idea como el día de si se puede y el evento va a ser.
So moving forward, we definitely we had a lot of parental support last year and that was amazing. Definitely want to tap into that again. So if you are interested in being like a lead or a big part of just sort of the planning committee for Si Se Puede, let us know. Some of the areas that we need help on are games, food concessions, outreach and promotion, volunteer organization, and the uh, online auction.
Y entonces, de ahora en adelante, nosotros necesitamos el apoyo de las personas que están, de los padres, porque esto es un gran evento y entonces si quieren estar interesados en la planificación, queremos formar un comité y si están interesados en eso, también necesitamos ayuda con personas que se dediquen a supervisar los juegos, a la comida, a, a la promoción, a otros tipos de eventos y también a las actividades en línea para promover este evento.
The online auction,
No, sorry.
no,
Y
that's fine.
también va a haber una subasta en línea.
Always forget the name. Siempre se me olvida que es subasta.
Ujú.
But yeah, so if you are interested, please reach out to us. Don't be shy. If you've only got a couple of hours to spare, we can still use you. There's a lot of flexibility. The more hands we have, the lighter the work. So that's for the planning ahead of time. We definitely are going to need a lot of hands the day of. This year, we're going to try to make sure that every station has a canopy, so you're not boiling out in the sun.
Entonces, necesitamos la ayuda entre más personas, es mejor porque es bastante trabajo. Así que si solamente tienen un par de horas que puede regalarnos, sería bueno. Queremos tener el día del evento, necesitamos bastantes personas que estén voluntarios ofreciéndose para ayudar. Y vamos a cerciorarnos que este año tengamos una carpa para todas las estaciones para que no se quemen en el sol.
All right. So today was going to be a kind of a quick meeting, but I just wanted to open up the floor to see if you guys specifically for the first part, and then I know we haven't had like an open forum. I always want to end it on time. But today we actually have a bit of time. But first off, does anyone have any questions or, want to hash out a little bit more? Anything about Si Se Puede? Um, if you have ideas, like just kind of wanted it open up for like 5-10 minutes. Cause I have had a lot of people ask me about that. So now's the time to, yeah, just ask questions or give me ideas or feedback on how did last year go? What are things that we can change? And just do better.
Entonces, la reunión de hoy está supuesta a ser breve. Entonces, quiero darle ahora la oportunidad a brindarle a ustedes la oportunidad de que compartan si tienen alguna pregunta acerca de este evento de Si Se Puede o si tienen ideas que quieren sugerir. Vamos a tomar como 5 a 10 minutos para discutir eso. Bastantes personas me han hecho preguntas acerca de, del evento de Si Se Puede o tienen ideas, así que vamos a usar este tiempo. Tenemos un poco de tiempo, queremos terminar a tiempo, pero podemos seguir adelante con sus ideas y sus preguntas.
Okay, so there's some days. Yes, high school students can volunteer. Oh, yeah, that was the question from Sam to everyone.
Así que sí, una pregunta, ¿los estudiantes de secundaria sí pueden ofrecerse como voluntarios y pueden recibir sus horas de servicio comunitario?
Yeah, this year we are going to try to actually reach out to the high schoolers, to the local high schools, more or not aggressively, but just a little bit more hands-on. Uh, we had some really amazing high school students who helped out like the entire day and they were amazing. So we're definitely welcoming of young people and absolutely we'll give them the hours.
Este año queremos hacer más hincapié en bienvenir a los estudiantes de las secundarias del vecindario para que participen y nos ayuden. Y ciertamente le vamos a dar crédito por hora de servicio comunitario. Y todos los jóvenes están bienvenidos a venir y participar.
Another question was what is the date this year? I wrote it down. I am looking for my phone. Allison, do you have your phone on you to look up the date? We already set the date. Oh, dang. Sorry.
Hold on. I
I
am
haven't
pretty
memorized it yet. We do have the date, so we can definitely give that out.
Otra pregunta es la fecha de este evento. Ya se seleccionó la fecha y la está buscando, así que en un momento ella le va a dar la fecha.
May 4th.
Oh,
El, el 4 de mayo.
okay. No, sorry. Thank you. Yeah,
Alright.
so it's gonna be May 4th. And honestly, it's really early. Volunteers usually start showing up at like 7:30, 8 at the latest for setup, and then cleanup usually goes to about 5 or 6.
Y entonces empieza bien temprano ese día, los voluntarios empiezan a llegar hasta las 7, 7:30, a las 8 de la mañana. Y después el limpiaje, la limpieza es a las 5 de la tarde.
Hi, this is Sandra. I thought about an idea is I know that this year all the student clubs are in effect. I think it would be great if we could have all the student clubs, participate towards contributing some sort of project. So, the Pride dancers can do a dance, maybe the art club can showcase some of their art. I don't know, like robotics, those just some examples.
Entonces aquí la sugerencia que da la señora Sandra es que sería buena idea que este año los diferentes clubs participen y hagan un evento en este día para que puedan participar. Por ejemplo, el club de baile puede hacer su baile, club de arte puede tener arte, club de robots puede tener su demostración de robots o participación y sería buena idea de que participen de esa forma.
I absolutely love that idea. We already have the Pride dancers come, so I know Miss Nelson will be excited about that. Who runs the actual art club? Is that Miss Curtis? Is she's running that, or is that someone else?
No, Miss Matthews.
Oh, Miss Matthews? Okay.
Yeah, Miss Matthews runs the art club. I could talk to her concerning that too. And also Miss Curtis. We could combine together, but Pride Dance normally do perform.
Yeah.
And we do have the lollipop booth every year. But we could do more though. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Así que
robotics is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
esa es una buena idea, una muy buena idea y sugerencia. Ya tenemos el grupo que va a velar de Orgullo de Baile. Ya ellos van a venir y también la persona encargada del club de arte, la señora Matthews, la señora Corey, ya están ah, notificados y van a participar y van a tener también regalos de golosinas o de chupetas y otras cosas.
And is Mr. Tamashuna still the robotics leader for that?
Miss Santiago.
Oh, Miss Santiago? Okay.
Mhm.
La señora Santiago es la que está encargada del club de robots.
Awesome. Yeah, I would we'll definitely look into maybe just a little project that they can go through. I can already start to think about the art club that they can maybe help us make the actual like banner or something, but we'll figure that out. I love have the idea of having the kids participate in a much larger way.
Así que esa es una buena idea y sí, me gusta esa idea de que los niños participen en una forma, creando las señas o la decoración. Es muy buena idea y queremos hacerlo este año.
Any others?
¿Hay otras sugerencias o preguntas?
Yep, let me check the chat. Okay. Well, this is a good start if no one else has anything. Does anyone have any, like, how's the school year going? How have you guys been doing? Just I'll open it up to just any general concerns or things that are coming up that you would like the PTO to maybe help out with. I know there's a lot that we don't actually have control over. But we're here for, just a listening ear and guidance.
Entonces, si hay otras preguntas o comentarios acerca de otros puntos de cómo va el año escolar hasta este momento, si tienen preguntas, preocupaciones, queremos darle voz a lo que quieran compartir acerca de eso.
So this is Sandra again. So I know that usually, they always have the newsletter that goes out. Other than posting, when the next PTO meeting's in, maybe you guys can just kind of highlight, some of the updates there. So for folks who don't have the opportunity to participate in the meeting or look at the slides, they can at least see some highlighted points about what's going on with the PTO.
Yeah.
Entonces, dice la señora Sandra de nuevo que sería buena idea también que en el periódico de la escuela se promueva los planes de la PTO acerca de los planes que se tienen para que tengan idea y se comunique esos planes de una forma amplia para que sepan de lo que va a ocurrir.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I will say we've had an interesting journey in trying to meld some of our calendars. But we really do hope, and that is actually something we've been trying to work towards. So hopefully that will happen soon. But I'm actually very much with you on that.
Sí,
Some
sí, esa es buena idea y una de las cosas que queremos es como fundir los calendarios de nosotros para tener estos eventos y es buena idea de compartir esa información a través de ese modo.
Allison, it looked like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat asking about an update on traffic issues, and I can speak to that a little bit if you want.
Así que en la charla hay una pregunta acerca de los asuntos del tráfico, entonces Alison va a hablar acerca de eso.
So I can't remember exactly where we left things off when we did an update, but the last we heard was that we were on the top of the list to get some sort of crossing guard or something.
Así que lo último que escuché es que nosotros estamos primero en la lista para recibir un guardia de cruzar.
So effectively, what it sounds like, because we don't have a lot of walkers, at least on sort of residential, like people that live close by walkers, we don't qualify for a crossing guard per se. So they're sort of trying to, I'm trying to think about how to explain it, trying to sort of jerry rig something so that we can get a police officer or something, or some kind of coverage for our street.
Yeah, Pamela.
Entonces, en el caso de la escuela de nosotros, no tenemos muchos estudiantes que caminan a la escuela. Entonces, no calificamos para tener un guardia dedicado para que ayude a los estudiantes a cruzar la calle. Así que estamos explorando la posibilidad de tener como un policía o algo dedicado para para arreglar este asunto de tráfico.
So you may have seen, I think last week, there was an announcement from the county executive that she was directing that PG County Police essentially backfill unstaffed crossing guard posts.
En la semana pasada hubo un anuncio que de las escuelas indicando de que los policías del condado de Prince George's sean como el respaldo ayudante para las escuelas que no tienen personas dedicadas a los guardias de cruce, que entonces ellos proveen ese servicio.
So our understanding is we're at the top of the list for that, essentially. I don't know if it's the same group, but that's
Oh,
kind of, no, is that different?
no.
Sorry,
No,
I'm
that's
speaking.
no, you're fine. So we did get a follow-up from Pamela because I had been calling PGPD. And it has, so that's what I was under the assumption of. However, it turns out that because we don't qualify, we are not, that PGPD will not be covering our school. Remember that was that weird email we got that we were like, oh,
Okay,
what
okay.
is that meaning? So what,
Entonces,
Pam,
estaba,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
estaba discutiendo aquí de que eh, con conversación con el departamento de policía, pensaban que la escuela estaba con prioridad a recibir esa ayuda de policía para el asunto de tráfico, pero considerando que no hay muchos estudiantes que caminan y no califican para tener un guardia de cruces, entonces no va a haber un policía que ayude con este asunto de tráfico.
So what they're trying to do is come up with like another portion of income that will hire off-duty police officers to come to our school specifically, but that will be completely separate from the crossing guard. So they're untangling all kinds of stuff. Pamela Boozer-Strouser has been amazing in trying to get us help, but it really just comes down to PGPD. So the person who is in charge, and I'll just put him out there because honestly, I don't have his contact information. Once I do get it, I'm happy to share it with whoever who wants it, because honestly, the more parents we have calling, the better. But his name is Major Klein.
Entonces, la señora Pamela Brothers, que es la representante de la escuela, está explorando otras opciones de a lo mejor tener fondos alocados para un cuerpo policial que venga para que nos ayude con los asuntos de tráfico. Y la persona encargada de esto es el mayor Klein, que está encargado con esto.
And I hear you guys, like, we have 100% called, PGPD, we have harassed them, and various other school board members, but it's just, yeah. But once we have information, like I said, we will provide all of that to you guys, and just so it's not where they're hearing from the same like 3-4 people.
There was a question in Spanish in the chat from Evelyn Marroquin.
Yes.
Asking, will there be a special program for the fifth graders who are going to be graduating?
I don't know of that, but Miss Nelson might be able to answer.
Yes, there is. I'm the fifth grade teacher along with Miss Paredes. We are having everything in planning. There will be a fifth grade promotion. I'll let you talk and then I'll go ahead.
Entonces, la pregunta para la señora Evelyn Marroquín, sí, va a haber un programa especial para los niños que se van a graduar de quinto grado. La señora Nelson va a está preparando esos planes, ese evento, esa celebración.
Yes, as soon as we get all the information together, we will be having a meeting with the parents. We had a meeting with the kids to find out what they really wanted and what kind of promotion they needed. So we're just waiting to have a parent meeting probably next week.
Entonces, lo que estamos haciendo principalmente por ahora es preguntarle a los niños qué tipo de celebración que ellos quieren tener, y vamos a estar en comunicación con los padres también para empezar esa planificación.
Okay. Wilson. Okay, Jacob, I think you have been waiting quite a while.
Yeah, thanks. So I had two questions. For the CC Puerta planning, is there the sign up? Is that just best to just email the PTO email to sign up for that?
I meant to
Reserves.
say that. You can totally email us. We will send out a volunteer sheet form, very similar to what we did last year. That will come out shortly, but for sure, please email us. We will absolutely get on board for that.
Okay, thanks. And the other question, well, I'll let that translate first.
Entonces, Jacob tiene dos preguntas. La primera pregunta es para registrarse o para ofrecerse como voluntario, inscribirse, ¿lo puede hacer a través de correo electrónico o cómo lo vamos a hacer? Y la respuesta es que vamos a proveer una lista para los voluntarios para que escriban su nombre y entonces puedan saber, tener la lista de voluntarios. Esa es la primera pregunta y ahora viene la segunda pregunta de Jacob.
Okay, and just the last question, there were lots of clubs mentioned, and I wanted to double check if I had them all. I took a couple notes. I caught the, let's see, I caught that the Pride Club is Miss Nelson, the Art Club is Miss Curtis, Robotics is
Santiago.
Mr. Santiago. Are there other clubs or are those the only three?
Art Club is actually not Miss Curtis. Art Club is Miss Fletcher.
Okay,
And when it comes to the springtime, we normally have also a garden club that's coming up soon.
got it. Okay, thank you.
La segunda pregunta es, se mencionaron tres clubes, el club de orgullo, el club de arte y el club de robótico. Y entonces quería saber si esos son los únicos tres clubes o si hay otro. Y la respuesta que se le dio a Jacob es que también hay en la primavera hay un club de jardinería también. Y esos son 4 clubes.
Okay, all right, so Jacqueline Miller, go for it.
I just put a question in the chat. Some of the clubs are only open to 4th and 5th graders. This was not my question. I have something else to say about traffic, but I do want to clarify. Some of the Pride Dance is open to everybody, but everything else is 4th and 5th grade only, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
the Pride Dance is from K to 5. Miss Fletcher, she only has, I think, sometimes she allows siblings, like if she knows there's a sibling in a lower grade, she will allow that sibling to stay with the other sibling to have the parent pick up one kid. She really don't have a specific, but if they have siblings, she do allow that sibling to stay with the other sibling, but she's also doing, I think, 3rd, 4th, and 5th for her. And then robotics was only 4th and 5th, because that's how Maryland University does it, because it's run through Maryland University. So they only allow older kids to do the club. And the garden club is open from second grade. I don't know if they're going to change it this year. I will be part of it, but we want to run it from 2nd through 5th.
Entonces la pregunta que hizo aquí la señora Jacqueline Miller es punto de clarificación acerca de los clubes, que algunos de los clubes solamente están abiertos para estudiantes de 4º y 5º grado. Se sabe que el club de orgullo está abierto para todos los estudiantes de kinder hasta 5º grado. Otros clubes depende si tienen un hermanito o hermanita que está en 4º o 5º grado, entonces el hermanito de 3er grado o menor puede participar en alguno de esos clubes. Pero por ejemplo, el club de robóticos, que es un club que es organizado por la Universidad de Maryland, solamente permite estudiantes de 4º o 5º grado. Y el club de jardín o jardinería tienen la esperanza que permitan a los estudiantes de 2º grado hasta 5º grado que participen.
And
So-
not all clubs go all through the year. The clubs don't go all through the year. Only one goes all through the year is Pride Dance, but all the other clubs have a cutoff. Like robotics is already finished. until next year, until later on this year when school starts back again in September. Then they start back up again. But art club is the same thing too. I think Miss Fletcher, I don't know what time she cut it off, but it doesn't go all year long.
Y para que sepa, entonces, el único club que va el año entero parece que es el club de baile o de... pero el club de robóticos ya se terminó, no es el año entero. Ya terminaron sus participaciones este año y la próxima vez que van a empezar de nuevo es el próximo año escolar. Igualmente con el club de arte, para que sepa.
Oh, and third grade have their own club too. It's like an after school thing that the teachers does after school for third grade only, to help the kids with their reading, writing, and Spanish. That's the only other thing that I know for after school. Third grade teachers have their own after school club for their third grade students. Every
Y
day
también
except when
el tercer grado, los estudiantes del tercer grado tienen su propio club después de la escuela, para ayudar a los estudiantes a mejorar en la lectura, escritura, español. Y entonces eso es un club que los maestros ya tienen exclusivamente para los estudiantes de tercer grado.
Is there a math club, Miss Nelson?
we had one at one time. I think second grade was doing it, Miss Barahona. She had started a math club, but she ended up getting sick. So I know they had been canceling for a while now, but she also has a math club for second graders.
Second graders? Okay.
Yes.
Y la pregunta se hizo si hay un club de matemática. Y anteriormente tenían un club de matemática que la maestra Barajona, la que estaba encargada de ese club, pero después salió, estaba enfermo, y entonces me parece que no está vigente. Y también los estudiantes de segundo grado han participado en el club de matemática también.
Okay, so the reason I raised my hand is to talk about the traffic stuff at school.
Yes.
So is there any movement to put a no left turn sign at the exit? Because Ms. Goodman can put it in the newsletter all she wants, no one is abiding by it.
Right.
And the other thing is drop off feels like it's got immensely more dangerous this year than the previous years. I don't know what's happening, but it's just there are kindergartners running in between lanes of cars and people pulling out at 8:25 and doing U-turns all over the place. I've almost been hit. My kid's almost been hit.
Yep.
It's not great. I don't know what's happened. It's chaos.
Así que la pregunta también que hace la señora Miller aquí acerca del tráfico, quería saber si se ha hecho progreso en crear la seña de que no se puede hacer doblar a la izquierda a la salida. ¿Qué está pasando con esa seña? Porque aunque se le dice y se le recuerda a todos en el periódico y a todos, parece que no están siguiendo esa norma. También se da cuenta de que cuando lleva a sus niños a la escuela, este año está aún mucho más peligroso, que casi le ha pegado un carro a ella o a sus niños. Así que, ¿qué está pasando cuando llevan a los niños? Que ese proceso está aún más peligroso.
Can I just hit that a little bit?
Okay.
No, because I've been in the school for 27 years and we've been fighting for that crossing sign for years. The only thing they did one time for us when we had 780 kids in that school was give us a bus to take the kids right across the street. Then we had a parent who was like a police officer, not going to call his name. He helped us put signs up to prevent things from happening. But I don't know who would take it down during the nighttime. They would pull up these signs because it was illegal. But he was trying to help the school at one time by putting up no left turns in the building to help us out. But after 2-3 days, when they realized the things was up, they come and pull them down. We had teachers went out there, myself used to go out there and stop the traffic to let everybody in and out. a police officer came to the school and said that was not right. Anything happened to me, they would not be responsible. So there's a whole lot of backlash when it comes to that.
Entonces dice la señora maestra Nelson de que ella estaba en la escuela 27 años y eso ha sido un asunto todo este tiempo de un peligro. La única vez que recibieron ayuda es cuando tenían 780 estudiantes en la escuela, que entonces proveyeron un bus específicamente para que los niños cruzaran la calle usando ese bus. También hubo un año que un padre que era policía, él mismo se ofreció a ayudar y a proveer señas. Y aunque él estaba dando señas o estaba proveyendo las señas para la escuela que no se haga más, no se cruce la mano izquierda, eso fue un problema porque las señas la ponía y después alguien venía en la noche y las quitaba porque decían que las señas estaban ilegalmente colocadas. Y los maestros a veces ayudaban, pero la policía le decía a los maestros que si algo le pasaba a los maestros, ellos no se les podía ayudar porque estaban en peligro. Así que es un problema que ha existido por mucho tiempo.
100%. So we had Maryland State Highway come out and they refused to sort of tell us anything. They were like, oh, they came to do an assessment of whether we could qualify for a no left turn. Also no U-turns and a couple of other things that we were asking, and they're very non-committal. So I've been harassing them back and forth.
Excuse me, sorry.
And it's been pulling teeth. There's just all kinds of excuses. And so I'm trying to figure out right now what is the best next course of action, whether it is for us to start petitioning them and for me to start giving you guys more access to the contact information so that we can all collectively, I don't want to say,
Flood the line.
but make more noise.
Yes.
Una de las cosas que el Departamento de Carretera del Estado de Maryland, ellos vinieron, tuvieron una reunión con nosotros, pero esencialmente no no se cometieron a hacer algo, un cambio. Es bien difícil con ellos, estaban dando bastantes excusas porque no podían hacer esto o lo otro. Y fue bien difícil. Así que estoy pensando de compartir la información de ellos con todos ustedes para que todos unidos podemos hacer más el esfuerzo unidos y más ruido para que ellos a lo mejor puedan lograr lo que queremos.
To give you an idea, I sent in the petition, what was that, like August? Well, Kate sent it in for me. I had a friend who wrote out like this really long petition for us. He's a traffic engineer. So we sent that in. They came out, I believe, like mid-November.
Yes.
They sent out an engineer. They looked at everything. And so right now we're kind of in that, like, we should be hearing back from them soon. But all of this is glacial. And that's all I've gotten from them so far.
Por ejemplo, nosotros hicimos la petición, escribimos una petición bien larga y la sometimos en agosto. Y ellos finalmente vinieron en noviembre, a mediados de noviembre, con un ingeniero a estudiar el asunto, el problema. Y tenemos la esperanza que vamos a escuchar la respuesta de ellos pronto, pero ha sido bien lento este proceso.
So as far as the driveway, we did ascertain that that is not Maryland State Highway, and that's purely the school board. So one Vincent Curl, you guys can write his name down. He is the safety officer for the school board, and so he makes a lot of those decisions. He seemed to be in favor of opening up the driveway some more. Apparently about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, they had already opened it up, but it wasn't enough. And I'll just be honest with you, we've had so many other crazy things happening that's kind of like gotten in my back burner. But if anyone wants to take lead on that, I would be fully supportive. We can definitely use more hands to craft emails and just keep on top of like all the different officials that we have to keep on top of. So yeah, but Vincent Curl is the one who's in top of who is in charge of actually approving opening up our driveway. And if I could have like one or two people to help me out with that, that would just be amazing. I would.
Entonces, en términos de el driveway, eso es la propiedad y la responsabilidad de la escuela. Así que la persona que está encargada de ese driveway para amplificar el estacionamiento, o el driveway al frente de la escuela, es el señor Vincent Curl, que es el oficial de seguridad que está encargado de eso y es la persona que tiene que dar permiso. Interesantemente, hace como 10 años, él dio permiso para amplificar ese espacio más amplio, pero lo que está pidiendo es que si alguien me quiere ayudar con ese esfuerzo, sería muy bueno, porque tenemos que necesito ayuda para estar en contacto con el señor Curl, Vincent Curl, acerca de esto para empujarlo para que hagan las correcciones necesarias.
Did you get the name from Miss Amaya who opened? Because we opened that driveway 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
It was much closer than that when Dr. Addis came. And we had the driveway opened before, and it was really a lot of pushback to get that driveway open 6 years ago. So if you want, you could ask Mr. Maya again, who is the person, I don't know if you went to her before, but you could ask her who is the person that did the first driveway 6, 7 years ago when Dr. Addis was there. We had it open up a little bit more. So you could ask her the names of the people who did it that time.
Well, he came.
Y le estás dando la sugerencia de que se debe contactar a las personas que hace 6, 7 años atrás amplificaron ese driveway, que contacten a esas personas de nuevo para amplificarla más. Y la señora la señora Vivian puede dar esa información.
Yeah. So when Maryland State Highway came, Vincent Curl, C-U-R-L, Erica was very nice to drop him into the chat. So he came and so he voiced his support, but that's just one dude. They have to get like everybody to sign off on it. And so I've been focusing more on just the public safety stuff with the traffic. And so there's just, yeah, it's just a lot. There's a lot of different, I can understand why now all of this is just so slow.
Bueno, de la cosa del señor Vincent Curl, él vino previamente, y muchas gracias por poner el nombre de él aquí en la charla para que todo tenga su nombre. Pero él solamente es una persona de muchas personas que están involucradas en esto y por eso que se necesita la ayuda de contactar a todas las personas necesarias, porque es bastante esfuerzo que se necesita.
Yeah, so we'll keep fighting. I just know that, you know, we're going to go at the pace that we can.
Así que vamos a seguir luchando, pero mantén en mente que el paso lento va a continuar porque es un proceso.
I will reach out to Dr. Addis and ask her who did we use 6 years ago to cut open the front again and see if she remembers and give you whatever information I come up with. So if there's a person we could reach out to, I'll give you the name of that person.
I mean, I'm almost to the point where I'm like, let's just break that thing and ask for permission, but I didn't say that officially.
Entonces se va a contactar a la doctora Alison para preguntarle la compañía o el nombre de las personas que hace 6, 7 años atrás amplificaron ese driveway, porque tenemos que hacer el esfuerzo de nuevo o estar en contacto con ellos.
And about the drop-off, I'm going to speak to Ms. Guzman in the morning and see if we could have a staff member in the back to monitor those kids and for us to go over again the rules about dropping off your kid before 8:30.
Y acerca de la traída de los niños en la mañana, voy a hablar con la señora Guzmán de nuevo acerca de hacer hincapié en las normas de cómo se debe dejar a los niños en la mañana y qué proceso se debe seguir de una forma segura, especialmente antes de las 8 de la mañana.
Real quick before we go on to the next question, I definitely want to say that I've also seen, I don't know what's up with this year. I have felt the same way as Miss Miller. The other day, some of you might have been there, but there was someone who drove on the left-hand side where cars are coming out while we were lined up for pickup. And they just drove up on the left side. And I was actually pretty mad. So I parked my car and I went and spoke to them. Their response was they had a baby in the car. And I was like, oh my God, that makes it worse. But I share that because I think the best way for us to just kind of self-police ourselves is to just tell someone who's willing, non-confrontationally, obviously, to deal with it, whether it be Miss Guzman or, myself. Just come talk to one of us. Just let him know, like, such and such car, make, model. If you want to write down the license plate, let us know, because we do want to stamp out this kind of very rude behavior. I mean, it is come first serve. We all want to get out of there on a reasonable basis, and it's common courtesy, and we shouldn't be cutting each other off. We're all in the same place. We all love our kids, and it really is about just keeping the children safe. So we'll look into how we can get into people who aren't showing up to these meetings to talk about car safety and car decorum. But obviously it's one of those things I'm preaching to the choir. I think most people here would hopefully be the ones who are respectful and actually following the rules.
También estaba mencionando la frustración que ha tenido este año. Aquí la señora indicando de que, por ejemplo, un día donde una persona manejó su carro, su auto en la línea izquierda y vino al frente de la línea, y entonces ella se bajó de su carro para hablar con esa persona que estaba manejando inapropiadamente. Y la excusa que le dio a las personas es que, bueno, que tenía un bebé en el carro, que la situación es agravada. Pero el punto que está haciendo es de que tenemos que nosotros ser policías con nosotros mismos de una forma agradable, sin hacer confrontación. Pero tenemos que estar pendientes si una persona hace algo inapropiado, tenemos que decirle, o tenemos que decirle a la señora Guzmán, me dicen a mí, y a lo mejor tomar la información del tipo de carro que está cometiendo esas cosas inapropiadas, o la chapa del carro, para tener este punto de seguridad de los carros, y usar un uso de cortesía. Cuando se maneja, se entiende que todos están apurados, pero tiene que mantener la seguridad de los niños en mente, y quieren salir rápido, pero se tiene que usar un tipo de paciencia y de cortesía cuando se maneja.
I do want to get to Gigi's question. She's been super patient. Could you explain your question a little bit more? And I'll just read it for everyone. It was, who should I direct questions regarding language interpretation assistance within the school environment for primary American English speaking children?
Yeah,
Una pregunta que se hizo aquí: ¿a quién se le dirige las preguntas acerca de interpretación primariamente adentro de la escuela con los estudiantes que hablan inglés primariamente?
So could you expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, good evening. I'm a parent of 4 kids have actually attended the school. My Messiah promoted last year, but I still have a 4th grader, and then I have a set of twins that are in 1st grade. And this has been a question that I've had pretty much since we've started matriculating at this establishment. The resources available to English American speaking kids. There aren't many options, and every time I ask, and I've asked, it's always, oh, well, go on YouTube and do this, or go get an application and do that. And I'm that doesn't really work, especially when you're a parent, a single parent, specifically with 5 children. I don't have the time to necessarily sit in front of a computer screen with my children who've already been on a computer screen all day long to go over material that right at this point, I don't even know what's going on for the most part. I don't know if the rest of you feel this way, but for me, this computer situation, I wouldn't mind it so much. It was like 50-50, perhaps hybrid. But what it seems to me is like we're kind of becoming so dependent on the technology aspect of it. So as a parent, it's difficult to know what exactly is being taught and what I should be helping them to review, because there's no communication as far as that's concerned, unless we're going on to School Max or something of that nature to find out. Like, we have to do research in order to find out what's going on day to day. And what's happening at this point, especially specifically with my son, is that there's no communication to know what's happening. And then it's like, okay, now we're at a grading point and it's an issue with the Spanish part of his curriculum. Which I go into schools and I let them know what the issue is. Unfortunately, for the 4th graders, possibly the 5th graders too, and the 3rd graders, they missed a whole chunk of the primary time to develop their language skills in Spanish. So from middle of kindergarten to the middle of 2nd grade, all we were doing was the work that was given to us online, and then we're going right back to speaking English. There's a large gap and there's a large deficiency. And so it makes my son look as if he's ill-equipped when I know for a fact that he's not. So when I continuously ask this question, I'm hit with the same thing. Oh, well, you need to do this. And okay, fine, I can do what I can do. But at the same time, you have to meet me halfway. And I've had this conversation. I continue to have this conversation. Hopefully, I'll be having a conversation with Mr. Sandoval and Ms. Guzman later on this week. But I'm getting frustrated. So when my frustration picks up, things get a little different. So I'm trying to handle this, in-house, but I'm not understanding, like, what's the deal? Like, why for our 3rd, 4th, 5th graders does it become like this open gap of like, well, you're kind of on your own?
Así que está haciendo aquí una pregunta bien amplia, la señora, bien detallada, estaba diciendo aquí. La pregunta es acerca de, tiene 5 niños, la madre aquí, tiene un niño de 4º grado y tiene niños también gemelos. Y la pregunta es acerca de el estudio de los estudiantes de 4º grado en particular, que no están recibiendo detalladamente los padres o los estudiantes, se les está informando la enseñanza que están recibiendo para aprender español. Y los estudiantes que solamente hablan inglés se están atrasando en ese punto. Y cada vez que ella ha pedido ayuda en este punto, la escuela le dice, bueno, hay una planilla para eso, tiene que ir en la computadora y explorar eso. Y eso es bien frustrante para una madre soltera que tiene 5 hijos y le está diciendo que hay demasiada hincapié o enfoque en la computadora, y por qué no hay un proceso más formal que le dice a los padres lo que se le está comunicando o enseñando a los estudiantes, porque el hijo de ella, que está en 4º grado, y los muchos estudiantes de 4º grado se han perdido una gran cantidad de su desarrollo en español. Y eso aparentemente se le echa la culpa a los estudiantes, pero los estudiantes tienen la capacidad, pero la escuela no está haciendo eso. Y es algo que está frustrando bastante aquí a la señora, y los estudiantes están sufriendo los de 3º y 4º grado. Entonces, quiere saber qué se puede hacer, y ella quiere así discutirlo aquí entre casa antes que se forme un problema más grande.
So I actually really appreciate that question. And I want to talk to you a little bit, not a little bit, probably a little bit more, lot bit more in detail. However, it is 8:40. So anyone who doesn't want to stay or needs to log off, please feel free to do so. Mr. Oscar, I don't know at what point you need to also go. I am bilingual, so I can kind of take it over. Up to you as well. I know we only have you for an hour.
Yeah, I couldn't go if you, or I can stay. I'll just put whatever time that I stay to. It's up to you.
Okay, so yeah, if you can just translate the part of like anybody who wants to leave.
Sure.
Thank you.
Entonces, esa es una buena pregunta que hizo aquí la señora. Y entonces, ya son las 8:40, así que vamos a terminar la reunión. Las personas que no tienen más preguntas, siéntanse libres de irse. La señora habla español, que está encargada aquí de la reunión. Yo me voy, pero va a tener la conversación más detallada con la madre que hizo aquí la pregunta. Y las personas que tengan preguntas se pueden quedar, pero... si no, bueno, muchas gracias y ya termina. Muchas gracias. Feliz noche.
All right. So, yeah, actually, it's really funny because I've had kind of the same concern and I'm bilingual. Of, so natively I speak Spanish, but it's not perfect. And I married someone who doesn't speak Spanish. And so at home, it's really hard for me to speak Spanish to my kids. So even though she um did understand it, actually spoke it a lot more when she was younger, she actually kind of lost it. And we've been struggling to get her back onto speaking Spanish. And I know it's a different situation than yours. Your kids came from zero. But I have the same concerns as well of just how do I know how much is my kid understanding? Because there have been times where we're doing homework at home and she starts crying and she's like, I don't understand. I don't understand. And granted, with my kid, I am much more like, I don't know how much of it she's, I don't know, flubbing because she just doesn't want to do the homework. um, or if, she's actually really struggling. So I don't know. I don't really have an answer, but it's something that I've been struggling with as well. So you're definitely not alone in that frustration. And I don't even know where we begin. I do know that they have an interventionist now with Miss Vivar. Have you ever spoken to Miss Vivar? You probably have, but
No, it's
No,
not.
ma'am. I have not spoken to her. And from what I was gathering from some of the parents I was speaking to over the weekend, she's kind of geared towards mainly the kindergartner and the first graders, which I understand because that is like the primary, where they're soaking it in. But my thing, like I said, was that my son and his grade level, specifically the fourth graders, probably the fifth and the third graders, they suffered in between that time. So that time that they're honing in on now, yes, it makes sense for the babies that are coming in, but for the babies who unfortunately had to survive through a pandemic, that doesn't work.
no, I agree. Ms. Nelson, sorry, you were saying something?
Oh, I was saying it's not Miss Viva. Miss Viva is the testing coordinator. Is Miss Morales.
Miss Morales, thank you.
Yeah, Miss Morales. She's the one that supposed to be and I thought it was second through kindergarten, because I feel Miss Gigi too, because I do the same thing. Like today, my son is one had to be helping fit with her math because I don't understand the Spanish side of it. But I know I had the same frustration too. And I spoke to parents who were there prior, and they all told me that they have tutors. They hire tutors. But like we said, we are single parents. I can't afford a tutor, but they have tutors. And these are kids that now are the ones that began the program and they are now in high school. These are the parents that are telling me that they had tutors to tutor their kids to help them in the Spanish part of the program. Yeah. And Miss Trisha Thomas. She's the one that has the tutors information and stuff like that. I could get it for you guys, but she has a tutor that she said that tutored her older daughter because she was getting low grades in the Spanish side of it, and is now tutoring her daughter, which is in my class, which is a fifth grader.
Mm.
Yeah, the only good thing about fifth grade this year that the teacher that we have right now is trying to close that gap, and she's really trying to focus on closing that gap. Ms. Paredes is working really hard with the fifth graders now to close that gap because she realized there is a gap. And we implemented in fifth grade I Ready Spanish to kind of help them read and comprehend the Spanish side. But that's something we only doing in fifth grade. I don't know if any other grade picked up on it, but that's something that Ms. Paredes just implemented into her grade to do the I Ready Spanish to help the kids with the Spanish more so they can understand it some more, because she realized it was a big deal too.
What grade is your son in, Miss Gigi?
Fourth.
Fourth grade? Okay. So
Mm-hmm. Mike was in fourth.
okay.
Excuse me, can I chime in here?
Absolutely.
My name is Tiffany. I'm Amora Hamilton and Ivana Hamilton's mother. So I have the same concern as the parent that was just voicing her concern.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of this is the frustration of mainly my oldest daughter. It tends with the Spanish part, it turns into a behavior, because the expectation is that she, responds to the Spanish teacher in Spanish, right? But then some of the main courses are in Spanish, like math. But then, you swap it over and the state assessment is in English.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are we really closing the gap when it comes to, making sure that our children are successful? That is my biggest concern, because I'm sitting here doing, working with my children to do their, homework in Spanish, right? But then again, they go back and again, they take the state exam and it's in English. So they're looking at me like, Mommy, you just said it in Spanish, but now you're telling me I have to answer it in English. So which one is it? So how are we, really preparing these kids when they come into kindergarten? Because kindergarten, I feel like they're expected to pretty much know, a little bit of Spanish and be able to respond in Spanish, but it's not, I don't feel like it's a fair, I don't know. I just don't think it's fair that expectation's a bit high. So I'm just trying to figure out how to really explain it. But is there a way that they can, I guess, even though I know they've already started in Spanish for the second half of the year, like in Spanish, they just speak completely Spanish. There's no more English in it. Is there a way to kind of give it to the children, still continue, in English, but then, also reinforce in Spanish?
Well, with the program, I know that the teachers that teach Spanish, they cannot talk English. They have to speak Spanish in the Spanish classes, and they have to speak English in the English classes. But before, they used to do the work bilingual in the lower grades. I know their homework used to come home in two, because my oldest son, my middle son, actually went through the program when he was there, because he's now in middle school. But when he was there, it was bilingual. So we had two ways to understand, had English and Spanish for us to understand what they were doing. But after a couple of years, I realized there was no more English in the assignments, because even tonight I was sitting in before we started the meeting, and my other two sons had to sit with Faith to help her do her math, because I don't understand it in the Spanish side, and we always have to Google Translate to get it, and it's very frustrating. I do understand. We do understand in the school, but our hands are kind of really tied at the school, because we have to go according to the Spanish immersion, how they run their thing. So we really can change up so many things, because when they come to the school, if we are not doing what they said we're supposed to be doing, we get written up.
Okay. So for that other parent, I did have like a recommendation. I know it's not all the way conducive with what we all have to do as parents, but I did enroll my children in varsity tutors. They teach a ton of languages, and they also do tutoring on the other on the other side. So that's really helpful, but again, it can still be a little frustrating because again, my oldest one struggles with, you know, sitting down. Okay, now I've just finished a week of school. Now you're asking me to do tutoring. So she's looking at me cockeyed at half the time. So that is one of the things that help because they're learning the different verbs. There's so many freaking verbs, nouns that you really have to be able to identify because it's almost as if the Spanish is backwards a bit. You know, when you're sitting there typing in the words and, you know, trying to translate it, it's completely backwards. But that really helped my my two kids that are doing Spanish tutoring. So yeah, that would
Can you
be my
share that
recommendation.
information with us though? Can you share that information so we can share that information?
Send it, if you could even put it in the chat or send it to me, the PTO Cesar Chavez at gmail.com. I think I mean, I don't know that I have an answer, obviously, like right now, because my kid's only in first grade, so I'm still trying to figure this out. But I think as I was hearing you guys talk, I think an idea, something that I can do, that the PTO can do is reach out to some of these other schools. Cause I know, like, you know, we have French, we have Chinese, and I'm sure there's plenty of kids that are also coming from zero. I mean, the pandemic, like you guys said, really screwed, not just even with language, but I know in math and reading, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And schools just don't have the resources. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, like I remember sitting down and going over a little bit, just I had questions about the budget with the school, and they just like didn't have money. Which is why we've kept up with the fundraising, but you know, that could be a consideration as well. Like, I don't know what these tutors would cost, but if there is a way for the PTO or the school system to just sort of help bridge these things, because I do believe this is an important immersion program. I believe you guys probably believe that it's also important because you're sticking it out even though you're slamming your head on the wall. And so that just shows your commitment to wanting, you know, your kids to know more than one language, which is really helpful. So I mean, that's definitely what we can do. Like Miss Nelson said, I know a lot of times their hands are tied, but if we can just find the resources, that isn't you sitting in front of a computer with someone, but if there's a way that we can get tutors to come and maybe just do like an after school tutoring program where they could maybe just stay, we could provide some snacks and they stay for an hour and just maybe ask some questions or go back to the bilingual. Like, is that part of the program where they can't have the bilingual translation for the homeworks?
So how it works when you gonna tell Miss Nelson or you want me to tell her?
No,
Oh.
go ahead.
Okay, so how it worked when Messiah was in school was that you would literally get the homework and they
Right.
would have the English and the Spanish that were exactly the same. And so you would do the English part and then you would go to the Spanish side and then you would, conversely just do the same thing. And it would help them because they had a visual context of like what they're seeing and they had something that they could relate it to, whether they were primary Spanish or primary American English. And then you had a book log. So in your book log, you were required to read a Spanish book and then you had to read English American speaking books. So it was like, I'm sorry, I don't want to say American speaking, English books. So it was like you could, shake it up. You can do one day and one another day, or, something like that. So what I used to do was I would get books that had both versions in the book. So again, it's a visual, it's tactile. They can see it, they can relate it to the pictures that they're seeing, things like that. What was hard for me at first with kindergarten, which I brought up when Messiah was in kindergarten, was the phonetics.
Right.
Because I don't speak Espanol, so I don't want to mess it up. So they're like, oh, well, just read to her, and I'm like, well, that might not be the best idea. So what can I, what's an audio option for them so that they can hear it as it's supposed to be heard? Oh, go to Google Translate. Well, what happens now with Google Translate is the kids become dependent on Google Translate. Oh, I don't have to know what it says in Spanish because I could just hit this button and it pops up. And so I think for me, I want something. I understand the tutoring. I've done the tutoring. I can look into that more. I don't think it's fair though to us or to our babies to have to to do that for every step of the way, simply because it takes up time, and it's not, they're already in school for so long. It's just like, it's just, for even for me, I'm brain tired, and I want an opportunity to just enjoy my kids. Like, I don't even get to do that because I have to bombard them with, what do you have, what's going on, because some of us don't just learn on a computer screen. Some of us have to touch it. Some of us have to say it. Some of us have to hear it. I'm a 33% in all three. So for me, a computer is not where it's at. And I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I needed to be an incorporation, and I took French, luckily. So I understand, so, the subject, verb, all those things that you have to do to change it, how to make it go with you, us, we. I can help him with that. That's not an issue. My issue is just that, for my son specifically, if he gets hooked, like if he gets stuck on it, he gets frustrated because he's like, why can't I get it? Then he shuts down. And you can't do that with the foreign language. And when you have these expectations, but there has been no foundation for him. I can't say for all kids. I can only say specifically for the third, the fourth, and possibly those fifth grade babies, that foundation was rocked.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like that's
It
a hard
wasn't even
part.
just rocked. It wasn't even established. Like you said, it's not
Right.
their first language. And again, it turns into behavior, because my daughter has literally, I don't want to say behavior problems, but she has a challenge just focusing and saying, just the teacher come back to me, oh, Amora was standing up in class. She's walking around the classroom. She shut down. She had a temper tantrum, but it's because, that's why I said some of that receptive language, especially because it's in Spanish, we're getting, pushback after pushback with her. And again, it turns into, okay, let's have a whole parent meeting because Amora, needs to focus on certain things, and it's like, that foundation piece has never been established, like you saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Well,
mean, all of these things are wonderfully valid, and I hear the frustration just even in your voices, like, and yeah, I mean, the best I can do, unfortunately, is just I will talk to Miss Vidal's. I know Miss Guzman is a new principal, but it seems like she is willing to, more so than the other principals that I've come into contact with, that she's willing to really listen and hear parents out and to try something new.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is what I was impressed was one of the first meetings that I was aware of that she came in was she just wanted to listen, and she listened to a lot of parents and, well, not parents, sorry, teachers. And she just wanted to know what people thought, what worked and what didn't. So I'll definitely bring these things up. I know as a new principal, she is drowning. And that from what I hear, that is just what happens the first couple of years. And I know that's not really like an answer to either of you. But I'll bring it up and I'll see if there's anything that we can do to help support that, whether it's to reach out to I know there's like parent engagement. They've done a bunch of stuff. I don't know. There's definitely some places that I can ask and just see if I can get any sort of traction on, can we get support from the teachers if they were to submit like their assignments, and if maybe the school board could help with translation, so that the parents can have English. I don't know if that's possible, but it's worth a try.
You could also talk to Miss Vivar, because when Miss Vivar used to be the PP, whatever she is, when she used to do that, she used to have classes to help the parents. And she used to have resources where she used to reach out to people. Because we were Title I at one time too. But not because we're not Title I anymore, we can't get the resources. Ms. Vivar might have all resources that she used to have, that she helped parents with. So we could reach out to her too and ask her if she have any old resources that could help these kids and help the parents also.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the main thing, right? If you don't understand, you can't help your kid.
Right.
We can give you guys, and that is the difference. I can at least understand it. So I can read it and explain it to her. But if you don't have that, then both you and your kid are going to be frustrated. So if we can try to get those explanations to the parents out in English, At least you know your kid's not falling behind in math. I mean, that is the wonderful thing about math. It's universal for the most part. It's just the problem solving, I guess, in the writing.
The terms, because my daughter's
Yeah,
doing the terms, and that's where she gets frustrated understanding the terms.
right.
And that's where my son lacked. Leaving Cesar Chavez, he was behind when he got to middle school because he didn't understand the terms. And then when he got to College Park Academy, they thought my kid was an Esau because he couldn't understand, he couldn't bring back the English to do the English part when he get back to College Park Academy. So it was,
Yeah. So I really do hear you, and I'm looking down because I'm trying to rack my brain. I've been learning a lot about just PGCPS and like all this. They have a lot of support. I'm not sure they're great at communicating these things. So I wonder if there is something that we as a school is sitting there, but we just don't know it's there. So I'll definitely be reaching out to, yeah, the school board members and just trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
What we can do as the PTO. Obviously we don't control the schools, so there's not much we can do in terms of changing administration or curriculum, but I can definitely do some legwork to see what else individually we can do as a PTO.
yeah. And you can ask Ms. Vidal also to give you the names of the people that are in charge of the bilingual program and see if you could
Oh.
talk to them.
I would.
Yeah, so she knows Vidal's have the names. One of them just retired, so I don't know if they have somebody new now.
Okay.
But you can ask her for their names and see if we can make changes.
Yeah, because I feel like the school board is slow in getting to know me, and they're annoyed at me because I'm always figuring
No,
out.
but I'll let you know, parents have the right of way. And
Oh.
that's something parents need to know, that it doesn't matter what your background, it doesn't matter anything. They have the right of way. They have the voice. So if we all rise up together and band together, we can make a change in our own school.
Yeah.
We just need enough parents to stand up with us to make that change.
Yeah, and if we, for sure. And so I didn't even know that we had access to that kind of thing. So yeah, sure.
Yes, you do.
Do that, and I can work on an email, some sort of form email that people can kind of send out periodically to complain about this, so we're heard.
Yes.
I mean, I just emailed a director of a department I didn't know existed like 3 months ago. So
yeah, you guys have more rights over teachers. We really don't have any rights, but something I learned over the years being in that school, your parents, your voice have more say than anybody else in the building. Your parents have more say.
So could both of you leave me your contact information or just send us an email to PTO, whatever's more comfortable to you guys?
Yes,
So we
ma'am.
can contact Gigi. And who was the other person? I'm sorry. I know you were Mora's mom.
Yes.
Tiffany,
Okay. Yeah.
Tiffany Hampton.
If you guys, yeah, just do that. Just send me an email so we can keep in contact, and I can let you know what I find out from Miss Vivada, Miss Morales. And if the school isn't able to do much or change much, then yeah, the next step is to go to, the level above. So yeah, that's what I have, unfortunately. That's it. How do you guys feel about that?
Great.
We appreciate it. We really do. This is all new territory for me because I have all my kids are under 10. I have a 6, 5, and 2-year-old. So, I just want to make sure that I'm not, setting her up or setting them up. I feel like with Amora, I do tend to feel like sometimes I'm setting her up. Me and my husband were really kind of questioning whether, this is a good fit because again, she's shutting down, she's not communicating, she's getting better, but I'm just like, we sat there and asked her and we're like, what's wrong? I don't understand it, mommy. So, that right there, that really kind of is a mind blower, because you don't want your kid to feel like they can't do something and they can.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody who's grown up with 2 languages and all my kid brothers, I love Sister Chavez, don't get me wrong, but I will, and I'm not saying that not everybody can learn 2 languages, but sometimes languages are hard for the ability to learn is different from person to person. And so if you are able to have that one-on-one with someone, you can bring anybody to be 2, 3 languages, but it's not easy. And I know that what we're asking kids to do is actually really, really hard. I mean, I was raised in a Spanish household, and I have one brother who barely speaks Spanish. I still don't understand how that happened. He understands it, but he don't speak it. So the fact that you guys are coming in with, no Spanish whatsoever and even trying to have your kids learn, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's hard. And
Well,
some
this school is, I'm sorry, this school is actually the highest rated school in PG County right now. If you look at any of the other schools in this area, they have poor ratings, poor test scores. So you guys actually hit the highest, one of the highest.
Yeah.
So elementary school. So that was what prompted us to be like, okay, well, maybe, we give this a shot. But at the same time, when I'm thinking of Spanish emergent, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to incorporate, maybe have a class session each day where they're learning Spanish, like they're teaching them different things in Spanish, not, okay, let's do a main, subject in Spanish, like, math, so that for me, that's the one thing I was just wondering, if we're teaching them or incorporating Spanish, why couldn't it be maybe a class?
Okay.
But again, that's just me thinking,
Yeah.
so
Let me
I'm,
speak to that. I can speak to that. So that would be just them taking like the language as like a subject, right? When they
yes,
talk about immersion,
Yeah.
they want it to be as if like if it were just
And
like a Spanish kid walking into the classroom and that's
Right.
what they're immersed in it. But for your babies at 5 and 6, and what I'm gonna tell you is that the 5-year-old probably has an advantage because she can practice with the 6-year-old. For the 6-year-old, what I will recommend to you would help me with Messiah was finding the books that she likes and then finding them on YouTube and having
yeah.
them read the books while she's also hearing it. So she could match the words up because I just had to get creative with it because
Yeah.
because we're not there and we're not primarily Spanish speaking people. So I had to get creative with it. But I will suggest that like if she likes reading, then I would do it that way. If she likes music, then do it that way. Because Messiah is actually like it has benefited her. She is linguistic and she takes Chinese now too. And with the math portion of it, what I will also say is as they're growing, right now it's the primary kind of math. It's not that difficult, but during the summertime, do summer bridge in English.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
way they can incorporate what they learn in Spanish and they can put it to make it sense in American English because a lot of the testing is in English. But when they go to transfer from the 5th to the 6th grade, if she continues in the Spanish immersion program, I'm gonna tell you this right now. They're gonna ask you if she wants to take math in English or in Spanish. Select English.
Yeah. For sure.
Um, and make sure you're on top of that because they didn't offer that option to my child when we did our stuff. So I'm giving you a heads up now, right? But in the summertime, when I have them get up every morning, they do their workbooks, and that's in English because we have to fill that gap. And I just to help you with that because like I said, I've been through this already. I have a 12-year-old, I have a 21-year-old, and I got this 10-year-old and these 2 7-year-olds. So
Yeah.
um don't fret because my son goes through the same thing. He gets frustrated too. It's becoming like quote unquote a behavioral issue, and that's where I get frustrated because I'm like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
he's
no, it's not
frustrated.
becoming, it is a behavior issue. It does it, like we had, not telling y'all too much, but we've had, a meeting to kind of discuss how we're going to support my oldest moving forward
Yes,
when it comes to
yes.
this, rather than shut down,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and tell them, hey, I don't understand, or can you explain a little bit more? So,
That's right.
it turns into, like you said, it's a behavior.
Tears.
And
I
it's,
know her, and she does. And one thing I know with your daughter is she don't like to be forced.
Yes, no, she don't.
But it was in kindergarten, forcing her to do something. She didn't have times when she was tired, and they didn't understand, like, hey, she was tired. And when she gets tired, she gets very cryy. And
Yeah.
that's the same. I just spoke to Miss Galen
Yeah.
about her. Let her know when she comes into her cry phases, it's not an attitude, it's not a tantrum. It's she needs a break.
Yeah.
Needs a break. So yes, I know your daughter pretty well because I subbed in her classroom in kindergarten a lot, and I experienced when she gets frustrated or she didn't understand. Yes, she gets very emotional. And
Yeah.
it wasn't a behavior issue. Emotional came from, hey, some of these kids are getting it and I'm not getting it, and no one is helping me get it. So I'm
Yeah.
going to cry right now because I want to go home, because home is where I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
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 That's it. That's a lot of that is, and and again, the teacher asked us if we see it at home. We see it at home. Trust me, but it's controlled. But again, it's still, it presents as a challenge at school, because I can't tell these teachers, hey, this is what you need to do. You're gonna have to figure that out on your own.
Yeah. And
So
with the summer bridge, Miss Gigi said that is perfect. I do it too with my kids. It go all
okay.
the way to 12th grade, and it goes back from, so Amara would do first grade, getting her ready for second grade. Other kid should do kindergarten, get ready for first grade, and it helps perfectly. Summer bridge is it.
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
Yeah.
Jacqueline just made a suggestion that I feel like, I know that could be like a pain in the butt to get, but I will 100% back, is the 504 plan. If you are able to get one, my daughter has one. Well, actually, no, she has an IP, but it's really just for behavioral stuff. But hers were a little more higher. But she's doing a lot better. But same thing, is when she gets frustrated, she
It gets
can't
great.
spirals.
Yeah. So
Really
we met as a collective group with her teachers and the others. So we're doing a support plan for her to make sure that, it's not, she gets it, but then, it's like that. We're wondering whether the behavior is impacting, her learning, with her shutting down, being emotional and things like that. So we're trying that route first. And then
Yeah.
if anything, we'll move forward with the testing. So we have a plan in place for it. I just, I think that was Gigi who was talking, just bridging that gap to where it's not that, it's in Spanish, just making sure we are supporting them to the best of their ability. I just want to make sure that, again, I'm not setting her up or, not listening to what her need is at that time. So
what we're just saying, like, because Miss Nelson was trying to say is just giving her the space to be able to have a break broken in. So I'm glad to hear that
yeah.
you are having the plan. So you've talked to like Mr. Ayala or Miss Bass?
Oh, it's everything is being spoken about and
Oh, good.
dealt with right now. So we're moving forward with it.
Yes. Go for it.
So
I can't say enough good things about Mr. Ayala and Miss Bass. I
Yeah.
absolutely adore them.
yeah.
And it's helped my daughter so much to know, and so that if she feels like she's about to explode, and sometimes because she doesn't understand too, like when she has good grades, this girl has amazing grades, but she has no emotional control. So I mean, I know that's separate from being frustrated about Spanish, but for her it's just being frustrated about everything. And so just for her to have a safe place to go, and I know we have a trampoline back there, there's bean bags, there's all kinds
Yeah.
of, she can
Now,
just go,
she's been back there a lot, so, and she knows her way around, it seemed like.
and it's
So
beautiful, and it really will help. Like, I know it's helped my daughter a lot. I love them. Both of them are very good people. So you're in good hands, and it might take a while. It took her all of first year, my daughter, to get with the program, so to speak. But she's good. She's doing a lot better this year. So, sometimes it hurts to be like, oh, my kid has to have like a 504 an IEP, but
oh no, I'm not, I wouldn't shy away from it. If she needs
yeah,
it, she needs it.
no, that's good to hear. Yeah,
So
for sure.
okay. Well, ladies, I'm gonna leave you guys. I appreciate the advice, and I look forward to our next meeting. See what
Yeah.
we come up with.
Yes, and I will keep in touch with you guys, and don't forget to put in your contact information so that I
Okay.
can keep in contact with both of you as I go reach out to just the wider school community and see what we
Okay.
can do.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Well, thank you everybody who hung in there till 9. And thank you, Ms. Nelson. You were invaluable today. You know
No
what?
problem. Anytime.
All right. Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.